Hi everyone, I'm sitting here with Jo Musgrave from Shop Naturally in her warehouse. Such an awesome space. If you public can't come here, can they?
No, you
Okay,
can come.
okay.
You can come.
Don't worry about it.
You can come and pick up your order. We are going to be opening up a little showroom with makeup and stuff shortly.
It's like a wonderland because it's just like floor to ceiling shelves. This is probably not the prettiest section, but there's just floor to ceiling products, all the sort of stuff that if you're into natural health, it's just, it's exciting. It's massive. It's much bigger than I imagined. So this is only the second time I've been here. Jo is actually the platinum sponsor for our Heal Your Gut, this event this weekend coming up on Sunday. We have a few spots left. We've almost filled the room, which is very, very exciting. We've allocated a bit more seating, so there's a few tickets left. And I'll put a link down to the event if you want to come. It's 9:30 to 4:30 this Sunday at Mingara, which is a short 1 hour drive from Sydney and probably 45 minutes from Newcastle. And it's a great venue. I had not been into these conference rooms. They're lovely.
It is. It's my local. I literally live 2 minutes up the road.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And
Massive space as well. There's so much, there's cool stuff happening on the Central Coast, which is exciting. So we have Lee Holmes from Supercharged Food, Kate Johnston from Core Wellbeing. We have Jane Jenkinson from Wholefood Family, Gillian from Cultured Artisans, and I will be speaking as well. And we're all covering a different aspect of how you can heal your gut. And normally I'm obsessed with food, but I decided to I'm talking a little bit about diet diversity, which has been shown to improve gut health, but I'm going to be focusing on all the lifestyle interventions, all of the really cool fun stuff that nobody talks about. Everyone talks about restrictive diets, which are very important, but I'm going to be talking about the stuff that's really easy to implement, and some of it is just, when you look through the studies, preparing for this talk, some of the things I've read have absolutely blown my mind over the last few weeks. And I'm just so excited to give my talk so I can share all that information. I don't want to give anything away here, but I'm really, really excited. And so Jo just had the best idea. And we thought that if anyone is coming along, I know quite a few of the Stirring Change followers are coming along and the Shop Naturally followers. If there's anything you would like to see, or play with from Jo's store, just have a look on her online store. You can have a look, and she's got a stall there, and we have stalls in the other room, and she's going to bring all the toys. Well, we're literally sitting in front of the
adult personal massages, Georgia.
Yes, sorry.
If anybody actually wants me to bring one, I can, but that wasn't
the point. But if there's anything from her store that you would like to see or play with, sorry, too much innuendo. We can move right along. She can bring it, and we've begged Kitsa, who I just put a post up. Was it this morning or yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, this morning, about a healthy fat mayo made with
Please
olive oil.
Please,
Kitsa, if you're watching,
can
you please bring the mayo so we can taste them on the day? That would be very fun.
She's also bringing. I'm assuming I can let the cat out of the bag. She's going to be doing a bone broth tasting. So.
Oh, with the I don't know what the brand's called.
I'm assuming it's Meadow and Marrow that she's bringing, but if Kitsa is watching, I'm assuming that's the one that she's doing.
I've only just tried them. They're amazing.
I've got them here too, but I actually haven't tried them yet. So I'm actually really looking forward.
I'm very excited if she's bringing that. We can have it in the break. So, what are we going to talk about? So yeah, I just wanted to. I mean, for those that I think most of my followers would know who you are, do you want to talk, as our platinum sponsor, a little bit about your store and maybe your gut health journey, because you have come through that whole thing as well, haven't you?
I have. I've been to hell and back, and I'm not quite back, but I'm pretty close. So I got chronic fatigue syndrome when I was 24 years old, and see the grey hair, that's literally half a lifetime ago. So I'm actually 48 years old now, so oh my god.
You don't look 48.
Don't I?
You've got beautiful skin.
I've got grey hair. I've inherited the genes from, I'd like to say it's all the skincare, but
there's definitely a genetic component.
It's genetics. Elle McPherson looks like that from genetics. It's not from drinking green powder, it's all but yeah, no, I have my own journey. So I got chronic fatigue syndrome, and I developed a lot of chemical sensitivities. So for the first 3.5 years that I was sick, nobody knew what was wrong with me.
Bring it closer.
So we finally found out that I had rickettsia, which is a rare bacterial infection. It kind of behaves a little bit like Lyme disease and mycoplasma and a couple of other things like that. So it was actually a doctor who specialises in chronic fatigue that diagnosed me, and she was also accepting of natural therapies but didn't really know a huge amount about it. So she said, you've got rickettsia, now you get to take doxycycline, which is an antibiotic, on and off for 12 months to kill it. So it behaves half like a viral infection, half like a bacterial infection. that's not easy to cure. So I was pretty bad before I started that regime. So I was so weak that I was housebound and lived with my parents as a 20-something-year-old. So I used to have to sit on a plastic stool in the shower, and my mum would come in and wash my hair because that was way too much effort for me.
Wow.
So you can imagine being that low that even on bad days when I'm up here, like,
you're thinking, yeah, it's not that bad.
It's fine. I can take myself to the bathroom. Like it's not a bad day at all. Yeah, exactly. So I was already very weak, and so killing the rickettsia off with the antibiotics just temporarily made everything worse, because you would know the Herxheimer reaction when you kill off something like that. It actually releases toxins into your bloodstream. So, but I was really excited the day that I found out that I had rickettsia, because I went, yes,
you're not completely
I'm not crazy. There was something real wrong with me, and now we can actually fix it. So I was on that regime for a while, and we killed it, but through all of that time, my gut health just got really bad, and that's how I developed chemical sensitivities, and also my liver needs a lot of support.
Yeah.
So I basically, if this kind of event had been around back then, my health would not have got down to the depths of despair that it did.
How many years ago was this?
Oh, this was like the early 90s. So
that's the thing, there's nothing, there was no Facebook, there was no news feed with inspiring articles telling you what to do. There was no Shop Naturally where you could just go and get all your toxin-free stuff.
Wasn't. I had a GeoCities website, and there was like some chat. I can't remember what they were called. Little chat rooms and things. Yeah, for some other people like around the world that had chronic fatigue. So we had a little bit of a support network, but
and being told that it was all a bit psychosomatic at that point, probably.
But it wasn't medical help. It was just other people in the same situation. We were all sitting there just going, "Shit, no one can help us. What do we do? Like, let's all have a chat about it." Like there was no actual help. So my methodology was, if I'm eating a food and it doesn't agree with me, let's remove it from my diet. So I did. And
this is what most people do, even people who are under the help of a practitioner. It'll be like, you're reacting to salicylates, get those out. Reacting to that, get that out.
So what I've since learned, though, with the help of an amazing naturopath here on the Central Coast, her name's Julie McNabb. If anyone here is on the Central Coast and needs a naturopath, like 30 years experience, I would not be sitting here without the help that she's given me. So that's part one. But part two is, once you start reacting, you actually have to heal your gut and do everything else to actually get all this stuff back into your diet again. So I got down to, and you were just going to die when you hear what I was eating, because Georgia rolled her eyes and went, oh my God, you poor thing. We were making bread at home, white flour and yeast and whatever, because I couldn't tolerate the stuff that you bought. Pasta. Potatoes, and we're seeing a colour theme here, aren't we? And chicken.
Wow.
So I basically call it the white diet. And anytime I'm really, really, really bad, if I have a gut problem, I had this horrible viral infection in February that went around, and I just literally emptied my insides out for 3 days. And I literally went back to the white diet for 2 or 3 days to stop the reaction. Yeah, so that was macronutrients. So basically my diet consisted of macronutrients, no micronutrients, no fibre. Yeah. My multivitamins was Barocca, and that was when you rolled your eyes at me before. Hey, you could buy at the supermarket, that's all there was. Like, I lived like this for probably a year or two. Like, that was literally all that went in my body for a couple of years. I remember once distinctly on my birthday, Mum made a baked dinner. So she baked chicken and potato and stuff. I was like, oh my God, are we putting olive oil? Are we putting some fat on this? And then I had a piece of sweet potato, and it made me, I could feel the reaction in my gut, because I hadn't had that kind of food for so long, and it tasted amazing, but I suffered.
Okay, so apparently you can reject phone calls in the middle of a Facebook Live and return to the proceedings.
Awesome. So yeah, basically after a while, we just sort of thought, I can't go on like this, and
I think it's a really important message for people, because it is really, I think maybe even 5 years ago, that was if people researched online, they're like, oh, well, I've got to remove this and I've got to remove that. And that's just, it makes sense to reduce the inflammation, but at some point, you need to do the healing.
You do. Like, it's only the first step. You really, it's a huge problem if you don't actually get your gut healed. I'm a firm believer, and I'm assuming you are too, that if you actually are that bad, like, you should do your gut healing with a professional.
Oh, 100%.
Don't. I just lone wolfed in. Like, I didn't even have cool books and internet stuff to read. I just basically guessed and went, well, if that's bad for me, I'll just stop. And, like, eventually you can't survive on water and air. Like, you have to eat something.
Yeah. And so how long was it between getting that diagnosis and getting to the point where you could, I guess, get to the point where you're mobile and starting a business and doing all that? How long was that healing process for you?
Well, my husband and I travelled around the country for a while. And it wasn't until I came back to the Central Coast and settled probably about a decade ago. And I went and saw Dr. Mark Donahoe, which you'd be familiar with. And I needed to get some allergy testing done. And I literally went to the phone book and found a naturopath who had a non-stabby way of doing it with an electrodermal testing machine. Yeah. And I went and saw her, and that's when the healing process started. But it took quite a few years. Yeah. And I'll just sort of share a couple like quite personal things here, because I just think it's important for people that when they're really low is to not think that there's no hope. Yeah. So like I went from being really bad to like running a very successful business, and there's still limitations in my life, but not hugely. Like she got me through a complete and utter nervous breakdown, a miscarriage, and a few other things. But the biggest lesson that I learnt is that unless you control the emotions behind what's going on, it doesn't matter what great food you eat or what supplements you're taking or whether you're having sauerkraut.
Sorry, I'm using my husband's phone. Someone's urgently trying to get in touch with him.
The second that you lose it mentally, everything just turns to crap. So learning to control your emotional issues,
which can be hard, because if the gut's out of balance, the mental emotional stuff's out of balance for sure as well.
So I went up and down probably for about 3 or 4 years. So she'd heal me, and then something would happen, whether it'd be like a viral infection or some stress, or I just ate the wrong thing, and then mentally I'd kind of lose it, and then the stress would get me. Then my liver would suffer from the stress, and then I'd spiral down. And because she would test things and she'd say like, don't eat this, and then I would eat something and go, oh, that's right, I wasn't supposed to eat that, and just automatically think that's going to make me sick before it did. So I literally developed this bit of a blasé, didn't give a shit kind of attitude, and it wasn't until I put all the good habits with that healthier attitude that things really started to...
So it's like the missing link for your healing.
It absolutely was. So, like even at the conference and stuff, you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff about your gut, unless you actually get that emotional connection with yourself.
I just think it's so I'm so glad you said that, because
you're screwed. Like it just nothing will work.
People can overlook it because we focus so much on food, because it is such a necessary part of your healing is dealing with the food stuff. You can all the other things are dwarfed in relation to that. And the more that I study, and the more that I sort of I get more and more familiar with other people's journeys, it really is that. Sorry, I just want to move this off. That for me, that food becomes less significant than all of those other pieces of the puzzle, and especially that sort of emotional, the stress response, and that's what I'm going to be talking about, how to sort of minimize that, and all the things we can do that are really fun, that are simple and easy, and that have a drastic impact on our stress levels and on our mental kind of perspective, because I think it's 60-40 mental, emotional stuff first, and then all the other dietary and lifestyle stuff.
You can fix everything physically, and as soon as the mental thing snaps, it will literally unravel everything that you've done. Yeah. And it took me a good 3 or 4 years to learn that lesson. Yeah. And once I did, now, like, I still have periods where I'm stressed and get a tiny bit unraveled, but
there's
never...
a bit to manage.
Well, we also, 2 months ago, I also bought a second store called Beautiful Because.
That's so cool.
I bought it right in the middle of us. We're just getting ready to relaunch Shop Naturally. We're about 3 weeks away now from completely relaunching new platform. Like I work till like 11 p.m. midnight most nights at the moment. Like it's a really big job.
It's pretty profound. Like for people to know the story of like severe chronic fatigue and infection, to come to, I wish I could just know, we'll do it another time. I'll walk you around the warehouse. Like it's absolutely massive here, and to manage all of this, do rebranding, to work that hard, it must. Like, it's pretty profound to think, because I've got other friends with chronic fatigue that wonder, like, am I ever going to be able... Like, that's pretty amazing.
It is, and
to be able to juggle all that.
And I spent years thinking exactly the same thing.
But
Just
that's it
thinking,
for your life.
Am I literally ever? I have a very dear friend that was my neighbour going through school, and about 6 months after I got sick, she was in a really bad car accident and became a quadriplegic. So she came to visit me one day, and we were sitting down having a talk, and it's like, well, we're in this really weird situation because I'm really sick and I have no idea what's wrong with me, and nobody believes me, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get better. And I said, and on the other hand, you're sitting there in a wheelchair and everybody knows that you're sick and you get all the attention that you need, whatever, but you're never going to get better. And we like had this really profound chat about it and just thought, like, which is the shittiest situation?
You
like
can't
it was
tell at
just
that point.
yeah, but it was literally a good decade or so until I really, like, after that, till I really started to turn it
see
around.
that it was possible for things to get better.
Yeah, and I have actually been to visit her a couple of times since then, and it's just like quite amazing to see the difference in my life, but hers kind of stayed exactly the way it was before then. But 20 years ago, we didn't know, like, I could be dead, like, there's just, like, I've been so sick that there were times when my mother and I just thought, like, if one more thing happens, like,
that's
how much
it.
can one person take? Like, it's quite, and the chemical sensitivity thing is just horrible to live with. Like, it's
that's to our benefit that you, that you went through all of that part of it, because this is really, really amazing. We will do another video. I'll do a follow-up video where we can go around the warehouse and show you all the different products here. But it is really incredible, and there's not that many. I mean, they're starting to spring up now all the time, all these online stores doing this, but I don't know that many have the same level of, I don't want to say integrity because it implies that there's, but I guess the stringent kind of standards that you have.
We've got lots of competitors, and there's lots of people that are just moving boxes. So it's just somebody sitting at home and just doing it in their spare time, whatever. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, this is literally how I live my life. Like, the reason that the store started was I needed to clean up my laundry products, and I was living at Lake Haven at the time, and the only store on the Central Coast was at Erina, and it was 45 minutes away, and every time we drove 45 minutes in the car to go get there, they didn't have stock, whatever, and I just thought, this is crazy.
I'll start my own warehouse.
Well, I did, because at the time, like, I was a professional web designer, so I can only be self-employed. Even now, I couldn't go out and work for someone else. So I was a professional web designer, and I could just do that at home, and I just thought, why don't I make my own online shop and just pretend I'm selling it? And I'll just order a carton. So I did, and then people just started. It took on a life of its own. So, like, it went from a bookshelf in a spare house to, like, a multi-million-dollar turnover. There's 4,000 unique products in here, and
it's huge. Well, congratulations. I think it's a huge journey for someone who's still sort of it's there in the background, but it shows how possible it is to eventually turn it around. It's just, even though it can be a slow process for some. So if anyone is in any way interested in learning more about the gut health event, Jo's going to be coming along with all of her goodies. So is Kitsa from Emporio Organico, and there'll be other stall holders as well, so you'll be able to taste and shop and, have some fun in the other room. We've got plenty of break time so that you can explore in the other room as well. Just trying to think if there's anything else I need to add. I probably will get off the call and go, oh, why didn't I say that? Yeah, so tickets are only $97. It's a full day event. Normally, I don't know if they can see
your husband's popular, isn't he?
Somebody's trying to get through to him. This will cost a lot more in Sydney, and it's just because the speakers have actually donated their time, because this is a fundraising event. That's what I need to say.
Yes.
Fundraising, we're trying to stop the Central Coast coal mine. Huge issues with it. We'll actually be talking about that on the day. But yeah, all the local farmers in the valleys where we live, their business will be... Hi, Tonya. Interesting story, right? So yeah, there's just endangered species. There's going to be coal loaders right next to preschools and hospitals and things like that. Yeah, 300 metres from local residential areas, operating 24/7 for 28 years. If this goes ahead, it just cannot go ahead in 2018. So we are doing everything we can to support the Australian Coal Alliance to take it to the Land and Environment Court, so that we can hopefully set a precedent in the state of New South Wales, and they don't ever, because this is a water catchment area, so 300,000 families around this area, like the whole of the Central Coast region, is going to lose their clean water supply that come from the valleys where I live, out a little bit further west. And so that's all going to be jeopardised. We get treated mine wastewater to drink if this goes ahead, and we're just trying to do everything we can to stop it. So come along. If you have any friends that might be interested to come along to the gut event, I know what everyone's speaking about. They're going to be really great talks. We're going to do some fermentation as well, and look forward to seeing some of you there. And thank you for sharing your story.
Right.
Okay, how do I? Oh, I can't see where the button is. Sorry.